the habit loop. What is this new term? You might have heard about it if you have read the book Atomic Habits, but you might know about cue, craving, response and reward. But what is all of this to do with the habit loop, and how is it a loop? So let's dig deeper into this topic. Hi guys, I am Anushka Dhoka and today we'll be learning about the habit loop. So what is habit actually? Habit is any behavior that has been repeated so many times so as to become automatic, and it is very necessary in our lives because it occupies less of our cognitive space in our brain. It has been proven that scientifically that we spend most of our days, that is almost 95% of our day, on autopilot mode, and only 5% of the day where we consciously think about the choices that we make and how we act upon them. So do you want that autopilot mode to be hacked by you by having good habits? What is this autopilot term that I'm using? Do you actually pay attention to the every move that you make while tying the knot of your shoe? No. Of your shoelace? No. You simply do it because you have been so habitual to that. You can talk to a friend while you're doing that. You can do so many things. You're not very aware of doing that because you subconsciously do those things. And that is your autopilot mode. Sometimes you drive to the same exact road from your workplace to your home and you don't even realize when you reach the home. So where have all the 2 hours gone of driving? And how habit formation is actually important and how it happens, I'll talk about it in the later part of the video, so stick till the end. So right now we'll be talking about the 4 fundamental steps of the feedback loop. So first of all, it's a loop comprising of 4 steps: cue, craving, response and reward. Let's dig deeper into each one of these. Cue is actually a trigger that you notice in your environment, and it is a hint for the reward around you, and it is actually where you notice the reward. So that is your cue. For example, walking down the street, you smell a favorite dish of yours selling at a shop, and that is the trigger that reminds you of eating that dish. That is not very healthy, but you crave for it. Which brings us to our next step, and that is the craving. Craving is the motivational force of every habit, and it wants you to achieve the reward, to have the reward. That is what craving is. And the stronger the craving, the more likely you are to act upon the habit. So now you're craving the dish a lot. We actually do not crave the habit itself, but we crave the reward that the habit is giving us, or the change in the state, the internal or the external state. So for example, you're scrolling through your Instagram. You're doing that because you are bored and you want to be entertained. When you are bored, that is your cue. But when you crave for the entertainment that you receive from the Instagram scrolling, now we move on to the third step, that is the response. The response is the actual habit. All the craving and the cue are working in your brain and it's just thought. The response is actually the action, the thought converted into an action, and the response should be doable. If it's doable, only then you will perform that habit. So moving on to the last step, and that is the reward. The reward is the ultimate thing that we perform the habit for. If there was no reward, you would never be performing that habit in the first place. So the reward is what you crave. The trigger is what identifies the rewards in your environment. And this reward helps you to satisfy the craving, and it teaches you to learn the best and the easiest way to reach to the reward. And our brain is a reward detector all around in our environment, and the reward is the one which closes the loop. If the reward is not satisfying enough as you thought or as you craved it for, if it does not satisfy your craving, it is not likely to be repeated. So the reward should be satisfying enough. Here I would like to stress upon that all the 4 steps are very crucial: the cue, craving, response and the reward, because each one of them if eliminated, the habit will not happen in the first place. So if you eliminate the cue, which is the trigger, the habit will never occur in the first place. If you remove the craving, there will be no enough motivation for you to perform that. If you make it too hard for yourself, it's unlikely that you'll perform that habit. You'll perform a response to the habit, to the cue and the craving. And if the reward is not satisfying enough, you will not repeat it. So the first 3 steps are crucial for you to actually perform the habit, and the last step is for you to repeat the habit, to keep doing that habit. So for good habits, you can do is, there are 4 fundamental laws, which is targeting each one of these steps. For cue, you have to make the trigger more obvious. For the craving, you have to make it attractive. For the response, which is the actual habit, you have to make it easier, and for the reward, you have to make it more satisfying. And exactly the inversion goes to break any bad habit. You have to make it difficult for you to notice. For craving, you have to make it unattractive, and for response, you have to make it very hard for you to perform it. And for satisfaction, that is the reward, you have to make it very less. You have to make it unsatisfying. That's when you are hacking all of these steps, and I'll talk about all of these 4 laws into great detail in the further videos. So let's talk about the habit that you perform every single day in all of these 4 steps. So that is the brushing of your teeth. That you wake up in the morning and you realize that you don't have a good breath, and you also don't feel alert. So what you do is that is your cue. Then you crave for having fresh breath and feeling more alert. So for that, the action that you do is brushing your teeth, and after that you satisfy your craving, and hence the next time you perform the same habit. This goes on for every single and smallest of the act that you perform, and that is why your brain is not working 100% of the times, because if it would have been depleted of all the energy, and you couldn't have had enough energy for focusing on the creative and the cognitive stuff that you have to focus on in your day-to-day life that demands more energy from your brain. As promised, I'm going to tell you about the habit formation thing. What we actually do is, whenever a problem comes by, we try to find solutions by doing many things. And when we know that we try, then we fail, then we try again, then we fail, then we learn, and we try differently till a point that we learn that this is the most easiest and effective course of action for achieving a particular thing, for achieving a particular reward. Our brains are reward detectors, as I said. So in simple terms, habits are simple, reliable solutions to the problems reoccurring in our environment daily. I hope this video was helpful, and we'll meet in the next videos talking about all of these 4 laws in detail with examples. And in this video and in the comment section below, I want you to tell me about your habits that you think fit into all of these 4 categories, and I might take your example and explain it how you can make it more easier for you to perform that habit.